The Cleveland Cavaliers, 22-50 last year. They added Evan Mobley, Ricky Rubio, Lauri Markkanen. They lost Taurean Prince and Larry Nance, who was one of their better defenders last season. One of the more weird lineups in the NBA. It seems like they're just collecting a bunch of talent and seeing who pops and who doesn't. Where are they going to be in the Eastern Conference next year? Is there a chance they surprise us? What's happening with the Cavs?
I'm actually surprisingly high on Cleveland. I like Cleveland's team. I feel like, I'm expecting and I'm hoping, not even hoping, I can feel it. I think Darius Garland and Okoro, I think we're in for year two and year three jumps. I think Darius Garland is a really, really solid player that can shoot the three ball, stretch the floor. He can create for himself. I think that next game is creating for others. I think Colin Sexton is going to bring you what he's going to bring you, that scoring ability, that 1-2 punch. But I think Okoro, being as if last year he played a lot of the cutting role and playing the backdoor cuts and just being that defensive player for them, I think he's going to unlock a little bit more in his game this year. Jared Allen's going to be Jared, but I think bringing in Evan Mobley was key for them because now it kind of locks up your paint. Like, you got a guy who can stretch the floor defensively. He's a monster, a guy who has soft touch around the rim. I think that's good for them. Their bench, it's a little, it's a little streaky. You got Cedi Osman, Lauri Markkanen, Kevin Love off the bench. It's going to be a struggle. They don't have much wing depth. I mean, Taurean Prince, Kyle Guy, Denzel Valentine. I hope that for their sake they shouldn't play him. I'm telling them they shouldn't play him, but for the most part, they don't have much depth on the wing and at the guard spot, but their bigs are pretty comparable. So I think, they can maybe, if they sneak into the play-in, I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this team is going to be exciting to watch. I think this team has a lot of guys who can make a really big jump. It can definitely improve on their games this year. But I like this team, and I'm definitely going to tune in a lot because I think they have a lot of promise and a lot of potential. But obviously, I think they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the East, probably a 14th, 13th, 15th seed around that area. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak into the play-in.
I do have my ceiling for them as around that 10, 11 seed. So obviously the 10 does make the play-in. They have to play 2 games minimum. But I think ultimately what concerns me is not only their youth, but obviously the collection of talent that they have as compared to the rest of the East. Now, I am high on Sexton. Everyone knows that. I'm a fan of Sexton. I think that his offensive game is definitely overlooked to a degree. I do believe that he needs to become more of a facilitator if he wants people to start putting respect on his name, because he just seems selfish to everyone else that's on the outside looking in. I think Garland, he's if not this season, I think next season we'll start to see him truly become a top tier, or I wouldn't say top tier because that's strong. He'll become a solid point guard in the NBA. I think he's already that. I just think that his improvement is bound to come. I think that Okoro, I'm not as high on as you. I wouldn't say that I'm expecting a huge improvement this season or next season. I don't think he's that great of a ball player. I think defensively, sure, he is a solid defender, but I don't know what he brings to a team offensively. A good addition that they had was Ricky Rubio for me. I figure Ricky Rubio is obviously a veteran, obviously a guy who is solid at basketball, but what he's going to do is just help the development of these young guys. Colin Sexton, who's not much of a facilitator, can learn a thing or two from Ricky Rubio about how to pass the ball and really get his guys involved. Kevin Love had this huge issue with Colin Sexton because he refused to pass him the ball. Ricky Rubio is going to say, listen, as good as you are offensively, this extra element to your game will just open up so much more for you. They obviously draft Evan Mobley, and this is the part that is not allowing me to have a firm grasp of what they're going to be, because I don't know what Evan Mobley is going to be, truthfully. I know he has the potential. I know he has the height, the physicality, but what is he going to do offensively for them? How is he going to help their offense become one that can potentially lead them to a play-in? People have him compared to Anthony Davis, that type of player where he's firm on defense, really solid defensively, but has an offensive game that he can step back, shoot the jumper, and affect the offense in that way. But I'm not sure what we're going to get yet. Bigs are really a question mark coming out of the draft. Over the last few years, we've seen a few, but Ayton took some time. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the player comp that he has right now, I'm not ready to say he's Anthony Davis. If you say he's DeAndre Ayton, I'm cool with that, because DeAndre.
That's not play style is different though. I think AD is more play stylish. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in what terms?
They just play similar.
Defense.
Fair enough. You're saying that Mobley can go and step out and play defense.
Well, DeAndre Ayton is more of a role man, and he fits your offense like that. I think Mobley's different.
I feel like he could shoot the ball all right.
Nah, not really.
Mobley is a player that you give the ball to facilitate an offense from the high post, from the elbow. Okay. And he has a great jump shot, a great mid-range jump shot.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to take him a few years. I'm not ready to say, like, Anthony Davis came in. I guess rookie season wasn't Anthony Davis.
12 and 8, 12 and 6.
Exactly.
It was year 2.
Year 2, he really became the AD that we were ready for year 1. So I don't think that Evan Mobley is going to impact the Cavaliers where he's the reason they're in the play-in. I just think that these guys have been playing together for a few years now, and I think that with the chemistry that they have, and I think that with the player development this season, I think it's possible that they could be a play-in. But ultimately, I think that they just don't have the talent matched up to the rest of the guys in the East. And I think that they're going to be around the bottom 3 of the East, unfortunately.
You're high on the Rubio move because it makes Sexton a better facilitator?
Both Garland and Sexton, but mostly Sexton, who has the problem with facilitating. Garland already is pretty decent at facilitating an offense.
To me, when I look at Cleveland and Colin Sexton, I don't think anything of it. I think Sexton is gone. Well, if it's not by the deadline, it's by this offseason. He's not going to be in Cleveland for very long. He's not going to be on the roster starting next year. I think the Rubio move was great for Garland. Not much for Sexton because Sexton's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard, but he's a very undersized one at that.
For sure.
But he's not a point guard, and I don't think he's ever going to become that. He's just scorer. He can facilitate at times, but that's not his game. I think Garland is the one where we see what he can really be as a scoring guard in this league. Chauncey Billups raved about his ability. I think Garland, when you look at him, can be a type of Dame player, can be Dame. I think that's the ceiling for Garland, to be Dame.
You think then Garland can be a top 10 player in the league?
He can be a top 5 point guard.
You said
but
Dame.
Dame is top 10.
Yeah.
So that's why.
I think play style, they're very similar.
Oh, okay.
I think play style in terms of how Darius Garland
he
plays
could be
from
a poor man's
perimeter.
Dame.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't even say poor man because we haven't seen Garland grow into his body yet. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen this. He's a very great shooter already. He's averaging 16 in the second season. You know, in his third year at 22 years old, if he's averaging 20 plus a game, that's very Dame-like. I mean, Dame, at what age did he come to the NBA? At like 22. So by his Dame's third year in the year, he really started to blossom into Dame. You know, this is the step Garland is trying to take right now, where he can be in that realm. Dame is viewed as a top 10 player now, like at 30 years old? Garland, I mean, he's 21, 22, so I think that
21.
We're far away from that right now. This year is about Garland making that development. Okoro, his offensive limitation still does scare me. He needs to become a better shooter for sure, and I think he's not a 3. And Sexton being there pushes him to the 3. But once Sexton leaves, if it's this season or next season, I think Okoro at the 2 is much better suited. Also, it's about, are they going to finally insert Dylan Windler into the lineup? This was their first round pick last year. I mean, two seasons ago. Is he going to be more involved? The Cleveland Cavaliers ultimately have a collection of talent that don't really fit together. I wasn't high on the Lauri Markkanen move. They still have Kevin Love, and I feel like he's more of a dark cloud around that organization. But Evan Mobley, I think, is a star. His rookie season, I think he's going to average 14 and 7. And I see his floor being an all-star player in like year 3. Mobley is a phenomenal player. I don't see any risk with him. I think he's going to be an immediate impact player.
Okay.
To me, he's already better than Jared Allen, in my opinion. I just think in what he can offer on both ends, he fits the modern NBA better. Cleveland is a play-in team, though. 10th seed, play-in team.
Ceiling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their floor is what they finished with at the 13th seed. That's their floor. I don't see them finishing lower than that, but Cleveland could shock a lot of people if these pieces that don't fit shock all of us and now fit. You know, so they can be one of the more surprised teams in the NBA if that does happen.